Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Muazzam Manj, and today in this video I will break down and analyze a phishing website, and we will see how it works and how it collects data. This video is only for educational purposes. Let's jump right into it. First, I want to thank this gentleman on Twitter, Emiliano, for finding and sharing this link of an open directory, providing me an opportunity to investigate it. So, in this phishing campaign, the attackers were pretending to be Citizen Bank and trying to steal bank account information of any unlucky user who visits this fake site. The scenario could be that you receive a worrisome email or message asking you to verify your account by clicking on a link inside this email. The thing is that when we are worried or excited, usually we don't pay attention to important things like sender's email or the destination links, like the link you are seeing here, which is not the genuine website address for this bank. A part of this malicious link is hidden for the safety purpose. But whatever kind of news you receive, either from email or any other way, I advise you to stay calm and investigate before clicking any links that you might receive. And here is our open directory. Here you can see the file citizenbank.zip. This is the file that I downloaded and will be analyzing. Normally, we don't get the source files of a phishing site, but in our case, the attacker left the source files in the open, so providing us opportunity to investigate the inner working of the source code. Here is our downloaded zip file, and this is the folder where I extracted its contents. I am using Windows 7 virtual machine for this purpose. Now let's go to the breakdown of our phishing site. First of all, let's try running this site in our local host. I am using XAMPP for this purpose. I have disabled my internet to prevent any accidental data leaks. Here we get the interface of Citizen Bank website. I am going to provide simple data as most of the information, so we can easily find this data in case the site is saving it locally, and we will see that it is. This web page looks legit and most of the users might find it convincing enough. But if you try to select text on the site, you will soon realize that it is not text but actually images embedded inside web page, and none of the links are working, and only interactive element is this web form, which is asking for our bank user ID and its password. I am going to provide multiple A's for the data most of the time. Next, it is asking for email address and password. Let's try giving it some and press continue. Now it is showing a message saying incorrect email password, try again, which is interesting because this website don't have access to actual database of the bank website, so it cannot tell if it is correct or incorrect. So why it is doing it? The reason is to ensure that if the user make any mistake first time, second time, user will make sure to write it correctly. In this way, the attacker have more chance of getting correct credentials. Next, it is asking for more personal information like full name, address, date of birth, social security number, and account number. At last, 4 security questions are being asked to get as much information as possible. In the end, it will ask you to wait for 5 seconds and you will be redirected to Citizen Bank's actual website. Now, let's check the code. Here, we have a robot.txt file that is requesting the search engine bots not to index this website and stay away. Sometimes these bots respect this request and sometimes they don't. This is the first attempt of this website to conceal itself. Let's open our index.php file. Now let's check the code. Here, after starting the session, we see an if condition where the site is looking at user agent data and looking inside to find word Google, and if the result is not false or in other word true, this means it found it. In this case, it will set our header to 404 error message and exit the session so we cannot access the remaining site. At the second if condition, it is doing the same check, but instead of checking user agent, it is checking a remote address for the word Google, and if found, it will perform same action as above. Let me show you the reason behind this check. Here I found this post with a list of user agents for some non-Google bots, and if you pay attention to these, then almost all of them include the word Google inside of them, either as Googlebot or google.com. So that's the word that the site is looking for. Inside proxy tab, let's first turn off our interceptor and see how the site will react. Normally, let's write our localhost address. Here you can see that our website is running without any issue. Now let's try it again, and this time I will turn on our interceptor, reload the site. Here in the verb we can see the request in raw form, and this is our user agent field. I am just simply going to write Google at the end of it and turn off intercept again, and as you can see we are kicked out and the website is showing 404 message as we saw in our code. And if we reload without editing the user agent, it will start working again. Now back to our code. Actually, this page is filled with different mechanisms to conceal itself from detection by different big companies. After these two tests, it performs different anti-bot tests by running these 8 PSP files within W/bots directory. Let's try opening few of these. Here are our files. Let's start with the first one. Here it is collecting remote address and comparing it with these predefined IP addresses. And if it matches any of these, it will redirect us to a non-good website. Here for this video I have removed most of the links, again for the security purpose, and also because I am not trying to associate phishing with any specific company or organization, as these kind of phishing sites can pretend to be any other bank or other company with some changes. So here we are only focusing on its functionality rather than its association. Now let's continue. Here, after looking at remote address, it is checking host by its address and looking for predefined words inside array and again repeating it with user agent. Now let's open the second one. Here we can see remote address being checked in a similar way. Now the third one, here again we can see remote address and user agent being checked. In the eighth one, it is same with IP addresses being used as remote addresses and bots as user agents. And in the end, if we match user agent here or remote address here, we will be redirected to a non-good website. Now you will start to see a pattern that all these files are performing an identical function and looks like they are all updated versions of a single file. And in our case, the most recent one will be nt8.psp. So instead of deleting older files, the attacker decided to keep them all just in case. Next, here is the function where client IP, forwarded address and remote address are being assigned to variables. And after filtering them for validate IP, this validate IP is being forwarded to this IP lookup website and result is being saved in get details variable. The lookup website is not malicious, but it's a website that returns a bunch of useful information for a given address. Here I am going to connect to the internet for a while, and let's look at this website link. Here you can see if you provide it a valid address, it will return some fields of data, and these fields will be filled with a bunch of useful information. Now it's using curl command on the contents. Here it is decoding the contents, and in the end it is getting the information of internet service provider or ISP in short from this field we saw before. In short, it is retrieving this information and comparing it with non-ISP strings like Microsoft, Amazon, etc., and performing redirection function like before. So the main function of all this code above was to detect bots and crawlers and misdirect them. At the end, if we passed all the given tests, we will be moved inside the directory capital W. Here we have another index.php file. So let's see what is inside this index.php this time. Here we can see a bunch of commented out code. The first part of code is same ISP detection code like we saw before in this first index.php file. But in the second part, I found some interesting artifacts. This type of hints can sometimes provide useful information like we can see here .xp browser and .xp OS, which when I searched turns out to be related to a phishing kit. Here I found this blog talking about it. You can see these mentioned here XB browser and XPOS. This is the link. You can go there and read it yourself if you want. I also found some directory links like rz/vus and rz/vus.html. I tried looking for them in our directory, but they were nowhere to be found. Maybe they were used previously when this code was live and not commented out. We don't know. But this provides us some historical insight of this website. Let's continue looking at our remaining file. It turns out that this is the file which was used to collect our data. As you can see, we have different sections like login section where we provided our login information. Then we have email section here. Email section 2. Do you remember it? Here is information section where attacker was collecting our full name, address, date of birth, social security number, account number, so on and so forth. Here we have our security questions. If we keep scrolling down, we find this TANGULAR/process.php, some commented out email verification function, then process 2, process 3, 4, and process 5.php. And after performing all these processes, what it does? It sends us to the actual Citizen Bank website like we saw when we ran the website and completed all forms. Let's look at these process files. I found out a include file named grabber.php, and it contained attacker's email address, which was being assigned to a variable called recipient. Then the data from different sections was being saved to a local file named client.txt, as well as was being sent to attacker by email. Now let's look at clients.txt file. We will not find it here at our desktop. Like you can see, there is no text file inside this folder. Instead, the file was created dynamically in our localhost folder. Here is our citizen.txt file, and here you can see the data that we provided. Our username and password, our first email address and password, and second email address and another interesting password. Next, this is data with social security information and then security questions. This is my attempt for breaking down a phishing site. If you want to reach out to me, you can find links in the description. Thank you for your time and Assalamu alaikum.